You're watching ABC 13, Houston's news leader, live with Alicia Rivas, Samika Knight, and meteorologist David Tillman. This is 13 Eyewitness News, Houston's news leader.
Two new saints. This morning, the Catholic Church made history when two popes were declared saints at the same time. It is also the first time two living popes have attended a canonization ceremony.
Scared, that's all I can say. I was scared. I was scared to death.
Plus severe storms, nearly 50 million people caught in the path of a dangerous storm system. And in one of the hardest hit areas, two twisters touched down at the same time.
And the Clippers controversy. The owner of the Clippers is feeling the heat as celebrities weigh in on his so-called racist remarks and urge the team to boycott tonight's playoff game. Good morning, everyone. I'm Samika Knight.
And I'm Alicia Rivas. We'll have those stories and a lot more in just a minute. But first, let's check in with meteorologist David Tillman. He has our first look at the Sunday morning weather. David, good morning.
Good morning. We've got a very warm morning out there, extremely warm morning with temperatures starting out in the mid-70s in most locations. Now, we're not dealing with any rain or any fog out there, but it is very warm and very muggy. Check out conditions out there. Looks like a sensor there. Dayton just bit the dust, at least temporarily, but it's 74 in Huntsville this morning, 76 in Bay City, 73 in Mont Belvieu, and yes, we do have that breeze out there with high relative humidity values. So here's what you can expect: a warm and muggy day today. Strong storms are going to be possible mainly north of town, but we do have cooler, drier air coming. I'll have details on that coming up.
Our top story, two new saints this morning, two popes, John Paul II and John the 23rd, were both declared saints.
It is the first time in the 2,000-year history of the church that two popes have been proclaimed saints at the same time. The faithful and the curious packed the streets around St. Peter's Square to witness history. And Eyewitness News anchor Tom Cook was there. He joins us live with more on this morning's top story.
Good morning to you, Elisa and Sam, and what a morning it is here in Rome. Actually afternoon, but people here still in St. Peter's Square celebrating the canonization of John Paul II and John the 23rd. Look at the crowd that remains here. Pope Francis just got in his Pope Mobile and drove all around the square, greeting people, waving, even high-fiving a couple of people. This moment in history is now over. The 2-hour canonization mass, making saints, as you said, of John Paul II and John the 23rd, drew perhaps what is a record crowd here in Rome. We'll have to wait and see what the estimates are later on. But people stood up for 18 hours since yesterday and waited in the streets for this 2-hour mass. Here's what some of them had to say about history.
It's history making. It's 4 popes, 2 living and 2 canonized. It's breathtaking.
Said for about 18 hours since last night. He had no place to sit down. He stood for 18 hours and then they pushed everybody down the street, as we showed you earlier this morning and late last night on Eyewitness News. Police cleared the square, then finally allowed everybody to come back in. Once again, we have not heard anyone this morning who did not say the trip over here, the 2 days before, the 18-hour waits in the street was not worth it. Everybody said they would do it again. We'll be live in a half an hour with Monsignor Bill Young of St. Vincent de Paul Church in Houston, coming up in 30 minutes. Sam and Elisa, back to you.
Tom, thanks so much. We want to take another live look at Vatican City. The ceremony wrapped up, as he mentioned, a few hours ago, but you can see thousands of people are still there in St. Peter's Square, and that's what Tom Cook was showing you. This is another vantage point. Some people started camping out on Saturday for a chance just to be there. This morning we saw a lot of people waving the red and white Polish flag in honor of John Paul II's homeland. Millions of people who could not make it to St. Peter's Square watched the sainthood ceremony on television. Eyewitness News broadcast the canonizations live on our website, but dozens of the faithful watched the ceremony on TV screens set up inside Catholic churches. St. Matthew's Church in Northwest Houston started their canonization viewing party at 1 o'clock this morning. There was a candlelight living rosary, then everyone watched the ceremony.
And to see both of those in my lifetime canonized, not one of them, but both of them, and to see the Pope that we have now, Pope Francis, carry on those traditions, I think is just going to be, it's fantastic for the future of the church and for the world.
The church encouraged everyone to wear the Pope's colors of yellow and white, as we mentioned, and also served refreshments.
Well, the Catholic Church encouraged the faithful to share today's event on social media, and we found a lot of tweets about today's event. The official hashtag this morning is 2PopeSaints. We decided to check out the official Instagram page, which has just over 1,000 followers and features a number of filtered photographs of St. Peter's Square, along with pictures of Popes John Paul II and Pope John the 23rd. Our live coverage from Vatican City continues all morning on Eyewitness News. Eyewitness News anchor Tom Cook is the only reporter from Houston in Italy, and we'll check back in with him at 6:30 and throughout the rest of the morning.
Now to the latest developments on a plant explosion just north of Houston. This morning, several injured workers remain in the hospital, and safety teams plan to head to the incident site later today to figure out exactly what triggered that blast. The explosion rocked the Georgia Pacific plant in Corrigan around 6:30 yesterday. It started with a small dust fire in the collection area. 7 people were injured. 4 were taken to the hospital. They were taken to Memorial Hermann Hospital here in Houston. 3 others taken by ambulance to Lufkin. The fire department says the injured employees are being treated for burns, most of them. It took firefighters about 2 hours to put out that fire.
There was fire in this outside overhead bin when we got to the scene, and they already had a couple of hoses on it, and we fell in and helped them, got some more on it and kept it from spreading, and then we got some help from other departments and were able to contain it.
Officials tell us there is no structural damage to the facility, but it is currently closed.
Well, a plane big enough to carry a space shuttle will be driven down a Houston street tomorrow. Crews will have to remove street lights and utility poles to make room for it. The Boeing 747 that was used to ferry shuttles across the country will be driven down Texas Highway 3 at 9 Monday morning. It will stop at 4:30 a.m. on Tuesday. Then it resumes the journey Tuesday night for a Wednesday morning arrival at Space Center Houston. 30 public and private agencies are helping with the move. Many have donated their services. The plane has been partially disassembled.
Happening today, tens of thousands of people are gearing up for this year's annual March for Babies. More than 40,000 people are expected to participate in today's walk. Opening ceremonies begin at 8:30. The 4-mile walk through the University of Houston and surrounding areas starts at 9. All the money raised for March for Babies supports research and community programs which help moms have healthy pregnancies and strong babies.
Well, it's going to be a colorful day in downtown Houston. Changing Minds Foundation is set to host its annual Butterfly Flutterby at Nancy's Garden at Christ Church Cathedral on Texas Avenue. Kids will release 1,000 butterflies all at once, and it will all happen at 1:30 today. There will also be butterfly feedings, face paintings, crafts, and music, of course.
8 minutes after the hour, we are sitting in the mid-70s this morning. Didn't get too cool overnight, David.
It didn't, and typically you start off in the mid-70s in July. So it kind of feels like a July morning. The afternoon won't be quite that hot, but I've inserted the word hot at least for one day in the extended forecast, because I'm now forecasting 90 degrees for a high temperature for one of those days coming up. So we've got some hot weather coming, followed by another cool down. It's going to feel a whole lot better by the middle part of this week coming up. Here's a look at Mega Doppler this morning. We're not seeing any rain on the radar at this time, and I've actually lowered rain chances just a touch for southeast Texas, because I think most of the rain that occurs today will be out of town. Pinpoint Future Track trying to produce a couple of isolated showers across the west part of the viewing area around midday. That's possible, but there's only a 20% chance of it. Some of those could grow into a thunderstorm or two, one of which could be strong or so for the northern part of the viewing area later today, but I don't think that's going to be the case here in Houston. We're going to actually see a little sunshine this afternoon, and with our atmosphere being capped, that means that cap is going to keep thunderstorms from developing. I'm not expecting much stormy weather from Houston on to the south. Again, an isolated strong storm going to be possible later today from College Station over towards the Livingston area. And up there, I've got a 30% chance of a shower or thunderstorm, 20% chance that you might encounter a few raindrops over the rest of the area. Right now, it's a bit breezy out there. That's one of the reasons why temperatures are so warm at this time. It's 75 in Houston, 74 in Galveston, 74 in Conroe, and it's 73 right now in Katy. Later today, mid-80s for high highs around Houston, upper 70s around Galveston, near 90 degrees or above for the western part of our viewing area. So it's going to be hot out there coming up for today. We're going to go to 90 degrees coming up for tomorrow. 86 today, 90 for tomorrow. Then the front goes through early Tuesday, and we'll wind up in the 70s for highs and 50s for lows by the middle to latter parts of this week.
David, thank you. The controversy surrounding the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers is making headlines now around the world.
President Obama was in Malaysia when he was asked about Donald Sterling's so-called racist remarks, and we have his reaction coming up next.
Plus, the mower miracle. A plane fell from the sky and crashed into a man who was riding his lawnmower. The man survived. We will have this story next. We have an update on the controversy surrounding the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers. Right now, several fans, even some athletes, are calling on the team to boycott tonight's playoff game after Donald Sterling was accused of making racist remarks which were recorded.
Well, the scandal is making headlines around the globe. President Obama is in Malaysia, and overnight he was asked to share his thoughts on Sterling.
When ignorant folks want to advertise their ignorance, you don't really have to do anything. You just let them talk, and that's what happened here. I have confidence that the NBA commissioner, Adam Silver, a good man, will address this.
But celebrities are not waiting for the outcome of the NBA's investigation.
Comedian Kevin Hart spent more than an hour tweeting about the situation and called Sterling a, quote, flat-out racist with, quote, slave master mentality, end quote. ABC News reporter Clayton Sandell is in Los Angeles with the story.
In the middle of an NBA playoff battle, the LA Clippers are now engulfed in a foul controversy erupting off the court.
Yeah, it bothers me a lot that you want to broadcast that you're associating with black people. Do you have to?
According to gossip site TMZ, that is the voice of Clippers team owner Donald Sterling arguing with his girlfriend.
What's wrong with minorities? What's wrong with black people? Nothing. You could sleep with them, you could bring them in, you could do whatever you want. The little I ask you is not to promote it on that and not to bring them to my games.
The alleged argument sparked because his girlfriend reportedly posted a photo of herself with Magic Johnson.
But don't put them on an Instagram for the world has to see, so they have to call me. And don't bring them into my games, okay?
Reaction has been loud and swift. The NBA says we are in the process of conducting a full investigation into the recording. The remarks heard on the recording are disturbing and offensive. Magic Johnson is tweeting the reported comments are a black eye for the NBA, saying he and his wife will never go to a Clippers game again as long as Donald Sterling is the owner. Local civil rights leaders are demanding a public apology. And while the voice has not been authenticated, on Facebook many fans are calling for a boycott as long as Sterling owns the team. Late today, the team responded.
It upsets all of us. You know, there's not one guy that's happy with this situation.
Sterling has been in hot water before over his alleged views on race. The Justice Department has sued him twice for discrimination, alleging he refused to rent apartments to blacks and Hispanics. The cases were settled.
The Clippers team president has released a statement saying that Mr. Sterling is emphatic that what is reflected on that recording is not consistent with his views, beliefs, or feelings. It is the antithesis of who he is, what he believes, and how he has lived his life. The story here continues. Clayton Sandell, ABC News, Los Angeles.
So tell us what you think. Should the Clippers boycott tonight's playoff game? Join the conversation right now on our Facebook page. Thousands of people around the country are cleaning up today after a series of severe storms.
And we are taking you to one of the hardest hit areas in North Carolina where 2 tornadoes hit the same mobile home community.
Plus, a freak accident that could have killed a man only cost him a limb. Boy, we'll tell you more about that incredible story coming up. But first, here's meteorologist David Tillman. David?
And here's your travel cast. There is going to be a possibility of strong storms for a part of the state. And it's if you head up Interstate 45 towards the Dallas area, 87 for a high there today with a scattered strong storm possible. Sunny and hot in Austin and San Antonio, 96 and 97 degrees today, 82 for a high in Beaumont under mostly cloudy skies.
Residents in part of North Carolina are cleaning up today after not one, but at least 2 tornadoes swept through the area. State officials say the twisters hit a mobile home park. Windows broke and siding was torn from homes. Some homes were left destroyed.
A big white cloud of fog, like blowing in so hard you couldn't see 50 feet. I mean, it was just, everything was in the air, blowing.
State officials say no one died in the stormy weather, but several people were injured, including at least one person injured critically.
Meanwhile, a vigorous cold front stirred up high winds yesterday around the greater Phoenix, Arizona area. You can see the winds caused down power lines there in some of the video, and also some trees to fall. In other parts of the state, snow was reported as a result of that front.
Checking the calendar again, 19 minutes after the hour. It is late April, so I'm guessing if this is north into the west, perhaps, somewhere in those outer regions that are getting snowy weather out of this front.
Well, that's how strong this particular storm system is. Right underneath it and on its northern side, there's going to be some snow. And then to the east and southeast of the center, that is going to be strong thunderstorms. And it looks like we're going to be just far enough to the south to miss out on most of that. But northern cities and counties later this afternoon could see an isolated strong storm or two. Here's Galveston this morning. It is a steamy one out there. A lot of clouds, just a little bit of fog. It's currently 74 degrees with a dew point of 73. South wind at 17, so it's breezy. Check out Houston. Same thing this morning. Very warm, very humid. 75 with a dew point of 70. Again, this is typically how it feels in June and July this time of morning. Right now, the wind is blowing from the south at about 16. So our northern cities and counties have this slight risk for severe thunderstorms, damaging wind, hail, the main possibility there. You get farther to the north, large outbreak of tornadic thunderstorms is possible over all of Arkansas, parts of Missouri, northern parts of Louisiana, and extreme northeastern parts of Texas. And then as we get into tomorrow, it moves a little bit farther to the east, where the worst of the weather is going to be most of the state of Mississippi, half of Alabama, and almost half of the state of Tennessee going to be under the gun for strong to severe thunderstorms. This morning, just a few what we call elevated hail-producing storms there. Severe thunderstorm watches in effect for parts of Oklahoma and Kansas out ahead of this dry line and cold front. As both of those move on to the east and the more unstable atmosphere later today, that's when the really powerful thunderstorms will occur. It is extremely warm over most of the state. It's 75 in Dallas, 74 in Waco, 76 in Corpus Christi. Near that front, though, in the Panhandle, temperatures are actually in the 50s and 60s right now. So here's your pinpoint future track for today, showing here's where the powerful thunderstorms are going to be. Again, one or two of those could hit our northern cities and counties. Then things will calm down overnight. We'll see a chance of a shower tomorrow at about 20%, but we think the worst of the weather tomorrow is going to be to the east of us again over parts of Mississippi, Tennessee, and Alabama. So 20% chances both days, slightly higher chances to the north today at about 30%. Once the front goes through, lows will drop back to the low 50s by Thursday and Friday morning. Highs will be the 70s starting on Wednesday.
Well, the Prime Minister of South Korea has resigned over the government's handling of a deadly ferry sinking. The resignation is symbolic. The president holds the real power in South Korea. 187 bodies have been recovered from the ferry, and 115 people are still listed as missing. Most of the passengers were high school students. 174 people survived. 22 of the 29 crew members survived. The Prime Minister blamed deep-rooted evils in society for that accident. The West is preparing additional economic sanctions against Russia, saying it must rein in pro-Russian militia in eastern Ukraine and stand down troops along the border. Since Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea, pro-Russian forces have taken over city halls and government buildings in several cities. They are also holding foreign military observers hostage. The German-led team was working for the Organization of Security and Cooperation in Europe when it was captured on Friday.
A man in North Carolina is literally a miracle this morning. This after surviving a run-in with a plane and a lawnmower. Investigators say the man was mowing a small airport's landing strip when a landing plane collided with him. The man lost his hand in the accident from the lawnmower, and as for the pilot of the plane, he tells officials he didn't see the victim until it was too late.
My understanding, there is no radio communications here as you're landing with this airport. This is a simple grass strip, small planes only. Typically, pilots circle the field, make sure the field's clear, and then come in and land.
No charges are pending yet for that pilot, but the NTSB and the FAA are investigating this crash. We're told the victim remains in an area hospital, but is expected to be okay.
Well, Prince George may be cute, but apparently he wasn't cute enough to appear untouched on the cover of a magazine.
Touching a baby?
Oh, come on.
Plus, one man claims a pack of dolphins protected him from a shark. We'll tell you how when Eyewitness News returns in just 2 minutes.
And here's a live look at the roads from our Houston TransStar Jam Cam. We're looking at the East Loop at McCarty, and as you can see, it is wide open this Sunday morning. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, well, Lisa, a magazine is under fire for messing with a royal.
Yeah, critics are accusing Us Weekly of airbrushing little Prince George. Yeah, the 9-month-old baby. Take a look. So the left photo is the before. The right pic is the after. Some say the doctored photo, as they consider it, of the son of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge shows the 9-month-old with rosier cheeks and greener eyes. Maybe just a different filter.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, his
Looks
lips
like
are pinker. Us Weekly has not yet commented on the photo.
I think that may be a filter. You know how we change it with Twitter and
doesn't look. They didn't slim him down.
Right, that's what I was worried about.
Didn't take away his baby fat.
Yeah,
still
he's
looks
cute.
Like, yeah, it still looks good.
Oh.
British swimmer Adam Walker says dolphins protected him from a shark as he was swimming in New Zealand.
That is scary. Okay, so it happened during a 16-mile swim in the Cook Strait. Walker says he spotted a great white below him right before a pod of 10 dolphins started swimming around him. So he posted on Facebook that he'd like to think that the dolphins were actually acting as guides and protectors. Walker was swimming to raise money for whale and dolphin conservation. The dolphins have remained quiet about their motives.
They know a friend when they have one.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay, so this morning's top stories are coming up next.
We are live in Rome, where the Catholic Church has declared 2 popes as saints.
And rumor has it that one of Hollywood's hottest hunks is now ready to settle down. Oh, we'll see.
First, in HD, this is 13 Eyewitness News this morning.
It's 6:30. Good morning to you. I'm Elisa Rivas.
And I'm Samika Knight. We'll get to our top stories in just a moment. But first, we're checking in again with meteorologist David Tillman, who is looking at our weather forecast this Sunday morning. Good morning, David.
Good morning. We've got a huge range in temperatures around the country where we are located. It is extremely warm out there, 75 in Houston and Dallas. And look at this, as far north as Wichita, it is 72 degrees. It's 70 in Memphis. Look at Chicago this morning. It's 45 degrees there. There's a front in between there. And whenever you get a big storm system moving into the plains, there's a big front out there, you can get a lot of severe weather. And we expect that today. Dallas up to Wichita, over towards Memphis and St. Louis have that chance of seeing strong storms. But Memphis to Little Rock has the best chance today. Atlantic could also see some thunderstorms later on today, while it's going to be rainy and windy in Denver. Beautiful day in Las Vegas, 79 for high with sunny skies. We're expecting temperatures in the mid-80s around here with minimal rain chances here in Houston. We'll talk more about this big storm coming up.
Our top story, 2 popes and 2 saints. This morning, the Catholic Church made history with the sainthood ceremony of Popes John Paul II and John the 23rd.
It is the first time in the history of the church that 2 popes have been proclaimed saints at the same time. And it's also the first time 2 living popes have attended a sainthood ceremony. At least 1 million people were in St. Peter's Square to witness history, including our own Eyewitness News anchor Tom Cook, who joins us live with more on the canonization. Tom?
And good morning to you, Elisa and Sam. And this moment in history is over, and the crowds here, what may have been a record crowd for Rome, is finally departing to places elsewhere in Rome. People going to other churches, some people standing in line to get into St. Peter's Basilica, but people are finally leaving after that 2-hour mass. And one of those people who was actually on the stage during this 2-hour mass this morning was Father Michael Sullivan of Houston, and you are the pastor at John Paul II and John the 23rd schools there. What was this like for you with the namesake of your school being canonized?
It was amazing to see the church canonize, which means proclaim 3 things about a person: that they are in heaven, lived a life of heroic virtue and worthy of imitation. So to be chaplain at John the 23rd in Katy and John Paul II in Houston is an amazing moment.
All right, you're sitting on the stage, you look out over the crowd, what goes through your mind?
John Paul II and John the 23rd walking these streets, studying theology, being the shepherd of the church, and all they did to be the faithful men of God they were.
You had a lot of people with you that came here early in the morning, stood on their feet for hours. What's it going to be like the rest of the day? You think they need a nap?
I think they'll be heading home after a cappuccino. So we changed plans yesterday. The closures and weather was going to look bad, so we decided to offer our group the chance to camp out at night, and to our great surprise, 2/3 of the people, including elderly, decided to spend the night outside to see the popes close up.
All right, quickly. You've looked out over the crowds before. You've lived here before. Did it look like a record crowd for Rome?
It seemed like it was. A helicopter shot would have shown the streets outside to see if they were full all the way down to the Tiber and beyond, which I'm guessing. I've never heard of screens being set up all over the place like they were this time. And the sheer number of closures, like yesterday we were driving around, saw it was closed from 5 miles out as of last night.
Yeah.
Traffic wasn't allowed in.
Wow. All right, Father Michael Sullivan, thank you. Congratulations on getting up on the stage, delivering communion today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. And that is the scene here from St. Peter's Square. As we said, the crowds are now departing, and people getting in line once again trying to get into St. Peter's Basilica, which is actually open from 2 this afternoon, an hour from now until about 10 o'clock tonight. Extended hours for people who couldn't get in there yesterday. Back in an hour and a half with Monsignor Bill Young from St. Vincent de Paul Church in
All right,
Houston.
thanks so much,
Sam
Tom.
and Elisa, back to you.
Thank you, Tom. Great job out there, by the way.
Well, this morning's sainthood ceremony didn't just happen in St. Peter's Square. Millions watched the event around the globe, even there in Rome, as they mentioned, people watching on screens outside Vatican City. In Houston, dozens gathered inside St. Matthew's Church in Northwest Houston. They actually started their viewing party at 1 o'clock this morning, Houston time. So here's a look at a 3D audio-visual spectacle about Pope John Paul II in Poland. Hundreds gathered at the Bishop's Palace to watch. And in Costa Rica, there were many celebrations which took place at the National Stadium in San Jose. And while some Catholics made it to Rome for today's canonization ceremony, of course, many could not make the trip.
But there is a way to feel like you are in St. Peter's Square right here in Houston. The National Museum of Funeral History has the largest permanent exhibit on the popes outside the Vatican. The Celebrating the Lives and Deaths of Popes exhibit has a life-size replica of St. Peter's Basilica. It uses multimedia exhibits to make visitors feel like they are attending a pope's funeral.
And that was our goal in actually designing this exhibit, to not only educate those in the faith and coming up in the faith, but those who are not in the faith can still have a sense of appreciation and understanding.
Well, the exhibit does contain artifacts related to John Paul II. And our live coverage from Vatican City continues all morning on Eyewitness News. Eyewitness News anchor Tom Cook is the only reporter from Houston in Italy, and we'll check back in with him at 6:30 as we have now, and of course in the 8 a.m. hour. Well, the early voting period for a special election in Harris County begins tomorrow. Voters have a number of polling locations to choose from to elect the next state senator for District 4. Former Senator Tommy Williams vacated the position last year to serve as Vice Chancellor of Federal and State Relations for the Texas A&M system. Early voting ends on May 6th.
Children at Risk will announce its list of the top 10 high schools in the Houston area tomorrow. The organization is holding a press conference at 9:30. The nonprofit analyzed results from 157 public schools to create its rankings. They looked at performance on standardized tests and graduation rates, then adjusted for the percentage of economically disadvantaged children at a school. According to the Houston Chronicle's website, Michael DeBakey was once again Houston's top public school. A little girl in Minnesota is overjoyed after being reunited with her lamb doll and her beloved green blanket.
It's such a cute story. 7-year-old Reagan Porter's family says she has had both of them since she was a baby, and she was pretty upset after learning she left them at a resort and spa in Montgomery. The group vacationed at the La Torretta Lake Resort and Spa, but thanks to a loss prevention supervisor who didn't give up, about a month later, Lambie and the green blanket was discovered in the lost and found.
They found it! Can you believe it? Isn't that great? Having a child of my own, I wanted
to make sure she was taken care of.
And Cooper, that was the loss prevention person there, she actually mailed Lambie with a note that said, "Reagan, I miss you and I'm so glad to see you."
And Reagan is happy as well. I
She's
love
so
that.
Excited.
Video.
What they couldn't show was she was really emotional. I mean, she cried and she was hugging Lambie. Boy, it almost made me cry.
All right, now to the weather, David.
Yeah.
A lot of this that is turbulent is going on to the north of us. We don't have to worry about it, but we're watching it carefully.
Yeah, this is going to be a big storm for our neighbors to the north. Only a very slight risk of seeing some of that in our northern counties, but you get farther north than that, and we've got a big storm system moving into the central part of the country. By the way, we've been showing you video of thunderstorms that produced tornadoes on Friday in North Carolina. Set a record for the latest time that we've ever had a strong tornado in the United States. It typically starts a little bit earlier than that in February and March. Took all the way until the last of April for a strong storm to hit the United States. Okay, let's talk about this big storm today causing problems. Wind advisory showing up in the tan color there just to the east of us and to the west, so those areas will see a lot of wind. We've got dense fog in parts of the Florida Panhandle. Flood watches already in effect up here around the Arklamis area, and there's actually severe thunderstorm warnings up there. This is a severe thunderstorm watch right here in yellow, some severe thunderstorm warnings in parts of Oklahoma, and this huge red area out here is where we have high fire danger. And if that's not enough, in the higher elevations to the west of Denver, snow is going to fly. So there are winter storm watches and warnings in effect for that particular area. We're much more concerned about what's going to happen with this cold spinning area of low pressure. The upper atmosphere moves over an unstable atmosphere over parts of the central plains and into the Midwest. There it is right there as we look at it at about 18,000 feet. It's going to take several days to move across the country. Each and every day it's going to be producing severe weather and flooding well to the north of us. We are going to be something called dry slotted. There's going to be some dry air moving into our part of the state, and that's going to keep most of the thunderstorms away from us. But our neighbors to the north will see day after day of strong to severe thunderstorms, many of which will produce a lot of tornadoes across parts of Arkansas, Tennessee, Missouri, Mississippi, Alabama. It is going to be a very dangerous several days for those particular areas. For us here in Houston, only a 20% chance mainly of a shower. Again, a strong storm, an isolated strong storm is possible for our northern counties later on today. And then we'll have much nicer weather moving in by the middle part of this week.
David, thank you. What if Hollywood's hottest hunks is finally ready to settle down?
At least they say. Okay, so George Clooney is apparently ready to give up the single life.
And one celebrity dancer could face a hard time on the dance floor tomorrow night. We'll tell you why coming up in 2 minutes. Here's what's hot this morning. Ladies, dry your tears. Looks like Hollywood's biggest confirmed bachelor is officially off the market.
I'm not drying my tears yet because I
She
have to
doesn't
make
believe it.
I don't believe this. But anyway, okay, so People magazine is reporting actor George Clooney asked his lawyer girlfriend to be his bride, George Clooney. Okay, a source tells the mag they spotted Amal Alamuddin with a huge ring on her left finger while the two were dining at a Malibu restaurant. Another source says the couple isn't hiding their engagement, but they are trying to keep things low key.
We'll see.
Okay. All right, so we will see tomorrow if Danica McKellar, if her injury will affect her on the Dancing with the Stars dance floor.
Right, remember her from the Wonder Years?
Oh, yeah.
Right, and she's been on Dancing with the Stars, but she apparently now has a broken rib, broke it while rehearsing. So she tweeted, "So I broke a rib yesterday, trying my best to pull through and could use your prayers."
Wow.
Her partner tweeted, "Very, very tough week, hashtag very."
Wow.
It's unclear right now what the injury means for McKellar's fate on the show, but you can watch it here on ABC tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Oscar winner Matthew McConaughey took a backseat to Willie Nelson in his own town.
Okay, so he inducted the country music icon into the Austin City Limits Hall of Fame. When asked about why he agreed to do it, McConaughey said, quote, "There would be no Austin City Limits without Willie Nelson." Nelson, by the way, was the television music program's first performer back in 1974.
Very cool. Can't wait to see that. Coming up in sports, a roundup of the NBA playoffs.
Plus, despite last night's win, the Rockets still haven't played to their usual level in the series with the Trailblazers. Ahead, the players talk about what they need to do in today's game.
And the guys and girls competing, or girl, we should say, competing in the NHRA Spring Nationals in Baytown.
Now, the ABC 13 AccuWeather forecast.
It is extremely warm and humid for this time of morning and for this time of year. Temperatures are in the mid-70s all the way from Brownsville through the Houston area and up towards Dallas. On the other side of the front, we're seeing low 50s in the Panhandle, and that's the cool air that will eventually make it here. I'm thinking as we wake up Wednesday morning, it's going to feel a whole lot like that around here in Southeast Texas. For today, 86 for high in Houston, 89 in Dallas, 92 in Waco, 97 in San Antonio. I think this is an erroneous number here in Corpus Christi. I don't think it'll hit 101, but certainly 95, 96 degrees there today. And look at that, 105 for high in Laredo. 97 tomorrow in Corpus Christi, 90 here. And once again, temperatures from Waco all the way down to San Antonio will be in the 90s coming up for tomorrow. Pinpoint Future Track shows thunderstorms developing to the north of us. There's a slight risk for one or two of those to develop across our northern cities and counties. Houston, only an isolated chance for shower coming up for today. Same thing for tomorrow. We're going to start to get some dry air in here, so just a few showers around here with a better chance for seeing some stronger thunderstorms on to the east of us into parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. So we'll go 20% for today with a high of 86 degrees, starting out in the mid-70s right now, up to 82 by noontime, 6 p.m. down to 84 degrees. And then we'll have a hot day coming up on Monday, forecasting 90 for the first time this year. Pretty warm on Tuesday as well, but that front goes through. You wake up Wednesday morning at 56, 53 Thursday morning, and I'm thinking 50 for a temperature first thing on Friday morning.
Well, when the Rockets headed to Portland, their playoff hopes were definitely sagging, down 2-0. But one huge shot and one big overtime win has the Rockets ready to grab back the home court advantage. Greg Bailey is in Portland with the Rockets, and he has their mindset now.
James Harden told us that it's scary to think that the Rockets are back in this series down just 2-1 when they haven't even come close to playing to their usual high standard. When asked if that was scary for the Blazers or for the Rockets, Harden said probably both. The Rockets woke up to a new reality in Portland. Determination has replaced fears of elimination with a clear understanding they can play much better basketball.
We haven't shot the ball well, like we have been throughout the season. So if we get it going and shots are falling, then it's going to be tough to stop us on the offensive end.
Our ceiling is much higher than what we've maybe shown on the court, and I think we have to do a good job of getting more comfortable and doing what we do and imposing our system on them.
As big as Troy Daniels' shot was Friday, and it's one of the biggest in Rockets playoff history, it was all set up by a tough play from Jeremy Lin. That must continue and spread team-wide in Game 4.
You go through adversity during the playoffs, and that's what makes you stronger. All we got to do is just continue to play basketball, and good things will happen. We play hard, we play aggressive. We attack every play, good things that happen.
In addition to hustle, the Rockets need more clutch work from James Harden. Today he laughed that he'd never taken 35 shots in a game before. Harden only made 13, but he made the ones that counted as he adjusts to the Blazers' defense.
First 2 games I was, in the middle and hesitant. Last night was just a matter of me shooting him and shooting him whenever I had an opportunity.
Kevin McHale also plans to find more playing time for Friday night's hero, Troy Daniels.
He's not afraid to put his body on people, and he's got some toughness, we need that.
But the game-winning, season-saving shot is still pretty good on its own.
I've seen the shot. I watch it like 50,000 times, but, it's just a shot that I shoot day in and day out.
Why not watch one more time just to make sure? Suddenly, the Rockets like the look of their playoff future. Troy Daniels awfully low-key about the shot that saved the Rockets' season, but then Daniels and the rest of his teammates know they've got a lot of work left to do in this series. In Portland, Greg Bailey, 13 Eyewitness Sports.
Well, the Spurs, they rolled through the regular season to the #1 seed in the West. The Mavs, they barely made the playoffs as the 8th seed, but this Vince Carter 3 at the buzzer has Dallas up 2-1 on the Spurs. Dallas, they win it 109-108, Game 4 in Big D on Monday. Pacers at the Hawks yesterday. Atlanta, the 8th seed in the East, up 2-1, leading by 2 late, but Paul George nails the 3. Pacers go up 86-85. George with 24. Then it's George Hill driving it in for the bucket. 91-88 Pacers. Hawks get the last shot, but Pero Antics, not the player you want to take it. Indiana, the number 1 seed, they even the series at 2 games apiece, winning at 91-88. LeBron James and the Heat, they roll on. They're now up 3-0 on the Bobcats. LeBron, 28 points. This one never in doubt. Heat in a blowout, 98-85, the final. Astros snapped their 3-game losing streak last night against the A's. Dallas Keuchel, another solid outing for him, but he gets a no decision. The Astros, though, get the win. Dexter Fowler goes deep, bottom of the first. 2-1 A's on top, but in the second, Chris Carter goes deep for a 2-run shot that made it 3-2 Astros. Keuchel goes 6 in the third, strikes out 6. Good outing for him. 8th inning, Jason Castro on Jason Castro bobblehead night. He comes up with the RBI single that put the Astros up 5-3. Astros able to hold on to win it 7-6 the final with the bobblehead for good luck. Qualifying continuing out at Royal Purple Raceway in Baytown. You can almost hear the rumble from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Spring Nationals all the way inside the loop.
Side by
and
side
that
runs there.
doesn't even do it justice. It's even louder than that. Steven Torrance, the top qualifier in top fuel, he clocked in at more than 321 miles per hour. Finals coming up later today. And you know what? It's not just the guys. As David Nuno reports, one local lady giving the guys a run for their money.
Erica Enders Stevens is a hometown girl who's never won in Houston, but a recent start has her thinking not only of winning here, but maybe even a world championship.
Another 640.
We're leading the points right now. That's the first in my career, my pro stock career, and being the only female racer in our class, it's pretty cool. We actually hold the world speed record right now at 2:14.69, not just for women, but for the entire class.
Enders Stevens has grown up around the track and says guys don't treat her any different. Well, except maybe her husband, Richie, who she recently beat.
Poor guy. He caught so much flack from his team, and because we were driving for different teams at that point, and they're like, well, you get to sleep on the couch tonight, just joking around.
Because of a huge change in her career this year, she's had to adjust on the fly.
It goes to show that perseverance and dreaming big and working hard and surrounding yourself with the right people really pays off. I mean, I had a huge switch. I'd driven for a team for the majority of my professional career, and that ended at the end of 2013. So I'm with a new team this year, Elite Motorsports.
Erica, you would think someone who travels at such a high velocity would speed through Houston. Quite the contrary, actually.
I have such a respect for what can happen because I've been in a bad crash, and that really changed how I drive on the street. It's not me, really. It's the other goofballs out there that aren't paying attention and texting while they're driving and whatever. So I kind of drive like a mama.
Whoa! David Nuno, 13 Eyewitness Sports.
And good luck to her later this afternoon. I'm Bob Slovak. You have a great day.
And it's going to be a warm one out there today. Temperatures are warm from the mid-70s right now to 82 at noontime, 86 for high today, 84 at 6 p.m. 20% chance for shower, thunderstorm is possible north, and after a 20% chance on Monday, we're going to cool off as we get into the middle part of the week.
Cool off. We like that.
Yeah.
We need a little bit of that. All right, now to San Antonio, where even the dogs are part of the fiesta.
The fiesta tradition dates back to 1891, but dogs have only been invited for the past 16 years, and they have upped the cuteness factor a lot, especially since the pet costume contest started. The Pooch Parade was held yesterday, and those pooches are awfully cute.
Know how to have a good time. The itty bitty sombrero. I like that.
I love it.
That is the news for now. We're going to hand this over to Good Morning America for an hour.
And we'll see you again here at 8, and thanks so much for joining us.